Hello and welcome to Driven Plus. I'm Max Latavani and today you're joined by myself and an Alpine A110 GT. And I'm really excited to get a review on this today. Massive thanks to Alpine Centre in Liverpool for obviously lending us the car. Big thanks to Ben as well. And oh, it might just be the best sports car on the market. Firstly, the experience starts opening the door. Very, very light, and that's a theme throughout the Alpine A110. It's a very light car, and you can feel it in every sense. Now, the overall look is, for me, like Marmite. You either love it or hate it. I love it, by the way. The front on, it's a cute looking thing. Side on, it just screams elegance. And when you come to the rear, you just cannot help but fall in love with this little thing. Looking front on the Alpine A110, obviously you cannot miss these two massive fog lights. And at a glance, they look great, but stare at them for any prolonged period of time, then it will start to hypnotise you. Do not try it, I've already tried. But talking about these two fog lights, Alpine wanted to resemble the old first generation A110 in the best way they could. And these fog lights were a trait they definitely kept, and I think it's worked. But the side profile is my favourite part about the Alpine A110. Just look at it, it just looks so elegant and so good. Very small car though, by the way, but the fuel cap is at the front here, so you can fill that up all there. Obviously got the Alpine Centre Liverpool, their vinyls there, just want to give them a mention. But my favourite part is how the back window kind of curves onto the side there, and it's really good with the French flag. 18-inch alloy wheels all round, and they're wrapped by Pilot Sport 4s. Let's go take a look on the rear. You get these lovely X-shaped LED rear lights. They look really smart. Centralised exhaust down here. And the engine sits in the middle. And you can't really see it, you can't really get access to it, but you can open the boot, undo 3 screws, which will then lift the glass. And then you can undo, I think, about another 20 screws to actually see the engine. But as you can see on your screen now, there are 2 fans that sit either side here. One aids cooling for the gearbox and turbo, and the other for the engine, so that means it will not overheat when on track. Now the engine, mid-mounted, 1.8 litre 4-cylinder unit, same one you'll find in the Megane RS, producing 296 horsepower and 320 Nm torque with a top speed of 155 miles per hour, and this is what it sounds like. No soft limiter for a 73 plate. That's what we like. Thank you, Alpine. Now, they say it'll do 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. So let's see if they're right. Now, I'm going to attempt to launch the Alpine A110 GT from 0 to 60. Now, as I said before, they say 4.2 seconds. Now, to put this car in launch control, it does have it built in. Left foot firmly down on the brake. Pull the 2 paddles in. It'll now say launch control on. That's it. Build up the boost and go. Whoa, a lot of slip. There we are, pretty much bang on the money, but there was a lot of slip. We're going to try that again. 4.16 seconds, which was bloody good. Slipped a lot. So here we are, run number 2. Hopefully that last run would have put some heat in the tyres. Launch control on. There you are, much, much better. It's a sub 4-second car, 3.95 seconds, back to the review. So here's a cool fact, just to put in perspective of how small the Alpine A110 is, let's put it up against a 930 turbo, 911 sports car, classic, modern day sports car. In every dimension, believe it or not, the Alpine A110 is smaller than this. Anyway, I'm really itching to get out on the road. Let's go. So on the inside of the Alpine, it's a really cool place to sit. I like the way you sit on the road. It's nice and low, really driver focused. Things I like are these seats. They're really comfortable. It's got the Alpine embossed on the silver chromy bit there. You've got the body colour coming in on the inside, cross-stitch leather, French flag to remind the driver you're in something Francais.
Bonjour.
I like the steering wheel as well, and I like this centre console. It's a nice theme throughout the car. And I also like the carbon fibre touches too. All very nice. You've got somewhere to put your key there, or your phone if you want to. But then there's a couple of niggles. Niggles, it starts with the screen. Now the standard screen Alpine produce feels a bit dated, feels like a first generation Android tablet, which isn't an issue because that counteracts because this car actually gives you Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So far that's counteracted, that's not a problem. Then another problem, feels a bit, this stops it from feeling premium, is all the climate control switchgear. That's very Renault, doesn't feel the best. However, it's super easy to operate, so yeah, that's counteracted that. And the build quality. The build quality is actually overall good. But say, for instance, you want to rest your leg on this center console thing here, as you can see, it easily moves about, which is a little niggle. And the last thing is the infotainment stalk on the steering column. I don't really need to go into much more detail of that one. I think you already understand what I'm going on about. Having said all that, this car hasn't been made for you to be blown away by its interior. It's been made for you to be blown away by its driving experience, and it does just that. Although the car is small, thanks to its sloping dash, it actually feels quite big in it. Now, to put the car into sports mode, we are in normal mode at the moment. Now, the sport button is mounted onto the steering wheel, and just one touch of that, and we are now in sport. The LCD screen changes and it shows you what gear you're in nice and prominently. And if you hold down the sport button, you will now go into track mode. To put the car in full manual mode, you've got to click the D twice to kind of illuminate blue, and you can now play with the paddles. And yeah, on track mode, the stability settings turn off. And talking about the LCD screen, because it goes into different modes when you go into different, it shows different things on the screen. I think the screen is pitched too low down for the driver. So what I mean by that is, if I put my head here, now that's now directly into my eyesight, but I'm not sitting up here, I'm sitting down here. So for me to look at the screen, I have to readjust my eyesight, take my eyes off the road for a second and kind of readjust. It's just different from what you normally drive. It feels as if it could be pointed a little bit more angled towards you, just so you don't have to readjust your eyes so much. But the French has given us many good things. They've taught us how to protest, they give us good wine, and they've also given us Charles Aznavour. Actually, he's Armenian, like me. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is they are also particularly really good at producing good sports car, limble and lightweight sports cars, and especially Renault and Alpine. Obviously Alpine is a subgroup of Renault, their sporty group. They've also got their own F1 team, so they know a thing or two about building a bloody good car, and you can feel that in this car. The technology they've used, lightweight, less is more. All the ingredients has come together and it's produced you a really good sports car. And I actually first remember when James May reviewed one of these, and I'm pretty sure when he finished reviewing one, he went out to buy one. And he's not the only one who knows a thing or two about cars who's got one. Gordon Murray, yes, he's got one too. So my opinion on this car doesn't really matter because those two people own one. So if that doesn't say enough, yeah, what does? Okay, say you're booked on to one of our Driven Plus European road trips or even UK road trips, and you're going to go away for a few days, and we have my clothes in here, my camera gear, and another bag. That's me traveling alone. Imagine two of you. Anyway, I'm going to try and attempt to put all this stuff in this car. So in the front, I'll call it the front. Now here you get 100 litres, which isn't bad. I think this is the only place where I can fit this. So can I fit a carry-on case in? Yeah, I think we'll be all right there. So the answer is yes. Let's go take a look on the rear. Button here, sorry it is a little bit dirty, but I gotta admit, looks really good dirty. So here's one bag, 96 litres in the back here, so it's enough for that. And you could probably fit two full normal sized backpacks in there. So do you know what? for a mid-engine sports car, that's really good. So Alpine Liverpool have produced me a little spec sheet on this exact car here. And firstly, I must mention that they are offering 0% APR. So if you're looking to get yourself into an A110 GT, give Liverpool a ring and they'll sort you out. Speak to Ben as well. But this car right here, on the road price, this model is £64,359. And the GT starts from £62,490. So less than £2,000 worth of options. So the options are Alpine premium floor mats. Yes, floor mats are an option. 18-inch dark grey Cerac all alloy wheels, so they're an option as well. The blue stitching in the interior, that's on the seats and that centre console thing. That looks really nice too. And you get CX2 paint protection, 349 quid. And the colour is actually called metallic abyss blue, and it looks really good. But I'm just going to mention some of the standard equipment. So it says lightweight body and frame is made from 96% aluminium. Okay. Yes, you get cruise control and speed limit assist. LED headlights are standard as well. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard too, so they're not an optional extra. Front and rear parking sensors, they help when parking it. But I've got to say the visibility when you're reversing the car is pretty good anyway. Reversing camera's good. High performance brakes standard, and active sports exhaust is standard too. Yeah, interesting. Back on the road. But although 296 brake horsepower from its 1.8 litre 4-cylinder unit may not sound as exciting to you, but I can tell you, as soon as you come down the gears, some nice pops in sport by the way, apply throttle, this thing is an absolute whirlwind. That's because it weighs 1,082 kilos. You don't need masses of power to weight. To put this car into perspective, let's take a 718 Cayman GT4. That thing weighs around 1,400 kilos, has around 420 horsepower. Power to weight ratio of that car, 270 brake horsepower per tonne. This, 273 brake horsepower per tonne. So it's there or thereabouts. So this car is actually in that class. Yeah. But because the car's so light, it's different to your usual sports car experience. Instead of kind of gripping in a corner and coming out the other way, you kind of just glide and you kind of just bounce along. And the Pilot Sport 4s are really grippy as well. They're a good choice. Obviously, you can only get the Pilot Sport 4s on 18-inch alloys in the UK anyway. But they're actually really good. There's super grip, and it's a bit damp outside, and the car hasn't slipped once. It really, really hasn't. And the steering it's super responsive. It's like a go-kart, it really is. Thanks to it being rear-wheel drive, mid-engine as well, the front wheels are just there to kind of, for you to guide where you want the car to go. But I'm having one problem. I'm struggling with the paddles, I am. And when I say that, obviously they're collar-mounted. I'm not a fan of them anyway. Now, I've driven collar-mounted paddles in a car before, and Giulia Stelvio Quadrifoglio. They work. That's because the paddles are they're massive. Wherever you put your hand, they're there. These are quite short, so I'm struggling with them a little bit. But imagine this car coming up in your rear view mirror. Will you be intimidated by it? I don't think you would. I think because from the front it looks so beautiful, you kind of puppy eyes look in your mirror like, oh, look how cute that looks. But then it has the capacity to rip your throat out. Oh, this thing is super, super good. Oh, I don't know whether to say it. I don't know whether to say it. I can't. Can I? I think I'm going to say it. Yeah, I think I will. This is the best handling sports car I've ever driven. And it's taken its title from the Cayman GT4 981. Andy, the owner of the Cayman, I'm really sorry, but this car is amazing. It really is. It really, really is. Fair play, fair play. Now you can only spec this car with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, which isn't a problem. Now when you compare it to its counterparts of Lotus Emira, Evora and Cayman, you can spec those cars with a manual gearbox. So therefore, if you're only going to give it an automatic transmission, Alpine, make sure it's good. And is it? It's more than good, it's super responsive. The minute I kind of click the paddles to change gear, it's done it in an instant. It's as quick as a PDK, so I'm really, really happy with that. But to really put this car into perspective, take your Golf R S3 M135i, you push around 300 brake horsepower, same as this. Okay, you've got more torque, but I've got 400 kilos on you. Just imagine that. And I handle a lot better too. It's the recipe is superb. It really is. Really good. And does it turn heads? Because for me, if you're going to pay £60,000 plus on a sports car, your pride and joy, you want it to stand out from the crowd. And I think it does. People are intrigued to know what it is because you don't see them. Last year, Ben from Alpine in Liverpool was telling me they only registered 200-ish in the UK, so they're hard to come by. You know, the Caymans and Lotus, they're 2 a penny compared to an Alpine. So when you're spending 60k and you're thinking, well, what am I gaining from an Alpine? You're gaining rarity. But let's say I did buy one and I went on a European road trip to the Swiss Alps. What's it like to commute in? What's it like to sit on the motorway, freeway, dual carriageway, whatever you want to call it? Well, it's very compliant. It's all good having a car that's ace in the country, but for me, you've got to get to the country. I spend a lot of time on the motorways myself, so it's got to be good. And it's, as I said, it's really comfortable. I'm struggling to know where to put my elbow though, but other than that, yeah, good. But because the car's so light, at high speeds, the car can actually play about a bit. It bounces around on the road. But that's just its playful behaviour coming out. It's kind of saying to me, well, where's the corner? Where's the corner? I don't want to go in straight lines. Yes, I know, but you have to go in straight lines to get to the corner. We will get there very, very soon. Or in fact, you've had enough for today. Yeah. And if you're thinking of buying one for your daily, your everyday car, great, well done. Thanks to its 1.8 litre engine, small engine, it can return you easily 35, 40 to a gallon on a run. There's not many sports cars out there that can do that. But it doesn't have cup holders. Don't be ordering any drinks at your Mackey's drive-thru. No heated seats either, but I think you can spec them on a few different models. I'm sure you can. And you've also got cruise control. So you can just, there we are, oh, speed limiter as well. I'll just knock it over to cruise control, press the plus button, there you go. Cruising on my way to work. But then the other question, what's the noise like? Because as a light car, obviously insulation will be thin. It's really quiet. It's quieter than my M4 CS, and that's a heavier car. And how does it respond if we put my foot down? Let's put it in sport. Actually, no, let's leave it in normal. Say you're just kind of cruising along, and next minute you think, do you know what, I'm bored, I'm going to put foot down. It gets faster higher up the revs. Now, the power in a straight line isn't kind of gut. It doesn't give you that gut feeling because this car hasn't been really designed to perform in a straight line. It's fast, don't get me wrong, it's really fast, faster than you actually think it is. But yeah, this car comes alive in the corner and on a motorway, it's not in its element, but it's easily tune up the miles quite nicely actually. And another thing people try and do is they try and race you, they try and beat you until you put your foot down and you're gone. This thing is like it's like a poisonous frog. Nice and cute to look at, but yeah, if you try and mess with it, it'll kill you. It will, really will. So what's my verdict on the Alpine A110 GT? Well, Alpine have built a phenomenal sports car. What they've created is something so pure and something which you cannot get in 2024, 2023. and that's just a pure sports car built for driving pleasure, and they're getting fizzled out. It's the last year you can buy one, so if you're thinking of buying one, then they're going to kind of, I see these cars creeping up in the near future. But when you compare it to its counterparts, its competitors, its competition, £65,000 is a lot of money for a sports car. And would I pay it for one of these? Well, I would, but I want you to listen to my opinion on why I would, because yes, you can buy a BMW M2 for the same price, Lotus Emira, 3.5 litre V6, manual gearbox, or you can get an auto, M2, 3 litre straight 6, M car, rear wheel drive as well, a lot of car for the money. But where do I see this? How can I justify spending £60,000? I can go home to my missus and say, I've spent £65,000 on a car with a 1.8 litre turbocharged engine. And your reason will be rarity. Yes. You do not see it. You really, really do not. And it's got elegance, it's got style, it's got the looks. It ticks pretty much all the boxes, and it's really, really easy to live with. And as I said before, this is the best handling sports car I've ever driven. I'd like to thank you for watching my review on the Alpine A110 GT today. Click that subscribe button and that like button, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.